Here we are, punters, part 2, and we're going to fly into DK's post-its. I'm looking forward to this, so you go through it. I'll have each one, go through it one at a time.
One at a time.
I'll have a comment. Yeah.
Alright, have a comment. Alright, first one is multiple improvement factors.
Okay, yeah.
So that would have been, I would have written that, I would have heavily backed something off one, maybe just a jock change, and it wasn't enough.
Yep.
I think we really box tickers jock change with a positive map change, or jock change with a blinkers on or something like that. So like not just one improvement factor, mightn't be enough to...
At least two.
At least two, well, yeah.
No, I think the jockey change and a map change, where they can be, just so they've drawn one and got crossed early, they might go up in distance, positive jock on, wider draw, in not a lot of competition for the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
tick,
I certainly look for.
So tick, tick. We've got box tickers, not a box tick.
Yeah.
This is one, I would have fallen into a run-on horse here. Salmon, which is leave me out, of run-ons out of fast races. Yeah. You just got to overcome your eyes there and, know that next time they might be in a slowly run race and be in the same position in the run. And,
Fast races are really, they have a lot of positives, so they're good for fitness, but you've got to be careful overreading certain aspects of fast races.
Yeah.
I think horses that run on in them, often they're not really running on. The horses in front of them are getting tired.
Yeah, so it's good to analyse the sectionals in those races for sure. This would have been one I would have backed. I would have backed one off a big or a spike figure. So something it's run really well the start before, and it's been beaten by an improver. Yeah. So improvers versus those off peaks.
Yeah.
Or peak, which is
a great one, DK. I get it. That's if there's a mistake that I make too often, it's that one. It's really hard when a horse goes to a new level. That's the hardest time to predict what they're going to do at their next run.
Yeah.
Because I think it's almost 50-50, the ones that improve and the ones that go backwards. Not many of them sort of stay at the same level.
That's right, yeah.
So it's a bit fraught backing those horses off peaks.
Yeah.
You've sort of got to feel like there's reasons that it's just set them up to go forward again. You've really got to look for those reasons.
And a lot of the times they're well found.
Yeah.
Because they can be short odds,
Yeah.
Leave me out of things of every possible chance last start. It's, they've had the 1-1, they've had every, and they've been beaten, and even though they present again, they look in the next race, they're short odds. They can be vulnerable favourites and things like that. Things have had every chance, or even so.
I fell into one of those yesterday. A little bit. Like it was Oki. He had every chance in the Dunkeld Cup. Really, he was well ridden, but so was the horse that beat him. And he had the race shot the bitch yesterday and turned it up. Really. The last 200 was awful.
A bit of you couldn't win the race when he had every possible.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's to try and find. This is one. This is I think someone else is going this, but beware of paralysis by over-analysis. That's a big one for me. I can look. Maybe I can get, rather than getting on the front foot a lot, find too many reasons to be negative, and then you don't have a bet.
Yeah. Yep. That's an interesting one, DK. So I think when you do a race, if it's really clear cut to you and you feel really good about it, you can just leave it there and don't spoil that, right? But if you do a race and it doesn't feel right, it's good to look further.
Yeah.
So you've got to find the right balance of that. And I think sometimes when you slowly come to a conclusion about a horse being a top pick, that's when you can get really good value.
Okay. Yeah.
I think. But if you do come to a good conclusion early, accept it.
Don't go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the obvious is sometimes the right one. This one was just stay in my lane, stay in your lane. That would have been, I would have had a bet at a metro meeting or something at a horse I didn't know just because it was that's, and every time, it's more a donation for me, things like that. What we just spoke about then, be patient, stay in the game. Yeah. It's a big one. You have to stay in the game, You have
to stay in the game.
Definitely stay in the game.
Well, you and I have had a few conversations about that because, one of my strengths, I suppose, is I don't get beaten by things I expect. It's too much, you know what I mean? So I basically do my market, and in the majority of the races I bet in, I back 50% of my market. So I back usually the top pick, the second pick, and usually even my third, and sometimes even fourth and fifth picks, depending on the structure of the market. But I do not allow myself to get into situations where I've backed my top pick and I'm I'm going to have the same result in the race if my second pick wins it as the 10th pick. You know what I mean? So I'm prepared to get stripped if the horse I didn't expect or I was happy taking a position against wins the race. But I don't want to get stripped if a horse I expected to run well wins it. So I try and find races where I can back more than one runner.
Yeah. A lot of them based around this was just a turn of foot and sections, and they hold up a lot, especially in maidens.
Yeah.
Fast races can knock them out. So
that's the sort of thing I'm looking for in jump outs and trials.
yeah.
Just horses that do slightly unusual things, that they're indicators of class.
Yeah, it's class. Yeah.
I've talked on one of our previous shows about my definition of class, which is really horses that are able to travel in the race they're in. So let's just say it's a maiden, and all the other horses are going pretty much flat out, and they're only using about 80% of their energy. That's because they're too classy for those horses.
Yeah.
They've got a class edge, right? So as they go up through it, then they get to a benchmark 64, for instance. And again, if they're a horse that's on their way to group level or even Saturday grade, they'll be able to win that race at 90% of their capacity. They'll travel easier. They won't be under pressure to run at the tempo of that race.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking for those type of indicators when I'm looking at jump outs and trials and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the one we're talking about with N. Farley. Steer clear of order falling into an ordinary trainer, ordinary jockey or ordinary beast, or if it's an ordinary horse. I just would have written that after backing a bad horse somewhere that, you know, if I find a horse, and the most he can probably do, even if he wins this race as a benchmark 58 win or something, I shouldn't be backing him. I want to back talented horses that are, you know, that can go forward, like you said, the Saturday class at least. And these are all, last few are just basic. Map late strength in fast races, map improvers with strength out of strong races. So sort of the good horses to start with, mate. There's plenty of those ones because it's pretty rock solid.
Yeah.
We want strong races, we want nice horses who can map well. So anyway, there we are. There's a few more at home, a bit more swearing on them, things like that I didn't bring in. But
I'll add one for you, one for the punters. I don't want to get into it too deeply, but just be wary of tempo changes. It's a real important factor in horses being able to reproduce their form. So jumping from one distance range to another, it's a very tricky business.
Very tricky.
And you're relying on their past form, so you've got an idea of what they can produce. And what they can produce in a fast run 1600 metre race really doesn't have a lot of relevance to what they'll be able to produce in a much slower tempo 2000 metre race, for instance.
So I said to you earlier before the show, or even when you rang me the other day, about Kieran Maher horses at the moment, particularly in the maidens. So I had an example on Tuesday at Kyneton. There was a week race. I went looking for some improvers. There was a Kieran Maher second starter, got beaten 7 lengths on debut in a fast run 1100, but just didn't do enough. And there wasn't any market support for anything. So it comes out into straight from that 1100 into a slow pace 1450, I think it is at Kyneton, finds the box seat, travels, as we said, and wins by 4 lengths. You know, because it's just that huge change in tempo just suited the horse, and I've noticed a lot with these horses.
It's hard to predict.
Very hard to predict.
It's when you see it, you just go, well, there it is.
There it is.
That horse can't travel at 1100 metre tempo. It needs at least, it's probably a stayer or a middle distance horse in the making. Probably.
And that's something I feel with horses only having 2, 3, 4 starts that I deal with a lot. It's a huge part of trying to predict.
Yeah.
You know, and you just learn so much from it. So, yeah, but how they're going to travel at that tempo is, and who's going to be suited anyway.
They can go from a very low rating to a rating that'll win a race very quickly.
Yeah.
They can, you know, things like fitness and that tempo stuff that we're talking about, and a map and all these things. They can easily add up to 5, 6, 7, 8 lengths very quickly.
There's 2 ordinary horses, 2 ordinary maiden. They're not ordinary. They were limited mares. Star Jan and Miss Polanski. One was in a 1500 Friday night. One was in a 1500 Saturday. Both about none from 7, none from 8. Been beaten, led, been beaten their last few, whatever. And they got in there. They both looked their right races there. But what is they both travelled at perfect tempo.
Yeah.
It got every possible, and they both won by 4 lengths. Won their maidens by 4 lengths, you know. Even though they're no stars, but they got to travel in. Everything was perfect for them, you know.
That's an example of what you're talking about. That'll be peaks for them, and you do not want to back them next round.
Exactly
Although,
right.
you know, with mares, when they get a win, they can often do something for them.
They can.
Those two don't sound like it. And like I'd say to the punters, have a look at Mr. Stylish. He's a good example of what we're talking about. I spotted things in his jump out where he'd shown some acceleration, and I had an expectation of what he'd be able to produce. but he was too green to produce it on debut, and he ran in a really good race on debut. I think it was at Sale.
Yeah,
and he got beat by 10 lengths. His run was better than getting beat by 10 lengths, but it was a really strong maiden. Can't remember who won it. It turned out being City Form.
Yeah, I can't remember if it wasn't the group. Yeah, anyway.
I think Neroni might have been in that race, and
the Bankway race wasn't.
And,
not
Westbrook Park might have been third.
Yeah, that was the Bankway
race.
It
was Bankway.
That was the Bankway race. Yeah.
So I think it was that race anyway.
Yeah, I think it was. I think you're right.
Yeah. And anyway, so he wasn't. Now, against those horses, he didn't have the fitness and the maturity to produce what he could produce. Then he went to Seymour, and it was much better, but still, because he was green, he couldn't really be put into the race, and he hit the line nicely. And then third up on his home track, he just produced the figure that he always had in him. But if you just look rawly at his debut run, you wouldn't have seen that pattern of performance.
No.
You had to see all the other bits and pieces and put it together. So
that's
it's amazing.
It's a puzzle.
It's amazing how much they can improve, though.
Yeah, it is, and especially the lightly raced horses. And, when they get that shows how much they can improve for sure. Anyway,
what about Weary, mate? Did you read through that? Was there anything that caught your eye? What happened? What's he done?
They've said they've got some bowler betting accounts that he's been betting on. I don't believe he's that big a punter. I believe there'd be another middleman. You know, I knew someone who was pretty close to him and might have done some betting for him 7-8 years ago, and I heard he was a $500,000 punter. That was him. 500 each way was his bet. Weary, if he liked one. To think that he had 4,000 each way, Peaceful State, I can't. I think there was a bet of 4,600 each way. I'm tipping the 600 each way was Weary's, and the 4,000 was for whoever else was organising it or getting it on. Trainers, I worked at Sportsbet for years. The amount of trainers that had an account or had bet their own name, I could count on one hand that I saw at Mark Reed's, or they just don't bet in their own names. They bet cash, or they get someone else to do it. I remember with my trainers, if it was my horse, I'd have a bet for them, and that was their sling if it won or whatever. I don't have a problem with trainers betting. Interesting that said that he used to back him fourth up when the shades went on. Well, that was his training pattern. That's what I was looking for. And he used to tell everyone, this will be ready in 2 runs' time. When they get to fourth up, that's when my horses hit their peak and everything like that. So that was right. The blinkers was obviously the key, which coincides with maybe what they're looking for. But anyway, it's
so my experience was, DK, as that stable grew and grew, at a certain point, every contact I had at the corporate or commission agents and stuff like that, they all had a punter attached to that stable that was deadly.
Yeah, right? That's right.
And I would get that information from different angles, and you just knew as soon as you got it from enough angles that you had to take out insurance on that horse if you hadn't already done so.
Yeah.
The price was, didn't matter what price you'd assessed it, it was going to be in the finish, and they nearly always were. But exactly whose money it was, no one will ever know.
Yeah.
And I think some of the things that have occurred at that stable, that we've had some clues to, was probably more about targeting
the blinkers ones. Or
I don't want to go into the blinkers ones. I'm just saying some of the performances that I find hard to marry with a horse's other performances are just in races that really added value to their stud value and things like that. You know what I mean? Or other values. There's just a few that and there is a betting component to it as well. They were extremely well backed, and late in the market there was just unlimited money for them, and then they produced peaks that they never produced again. But there's an awful lot of horses from that stable that have gone on to other stables and have produced similar performances. But there's just a couple I could point out that haven't. But anyway.
Trainers bet. I'm still finding no issue with the trainers betting. Jimmy Conlon said he used to have 20,000 on them, didn't he? He was in an interview with Michael Felgate, so back in the day. So speaking of trainers, mate, Gordon Richards, he had another winner there the other day, wasn't it? Ben's, old mate Ben's, off 1,000 days.
In Adelaide.
Yeah, off 1,000 days. I thought you.
Well, it's good to see him winning some races in Adelaide, not just coming over here and I'm with Gordon now. As soon as he comes over,
you got to hear they do the Adelaide horses. They run well. Will Clarkin, they bring him over. if, things like that. Though.
Yeah, Will. I find Will's ones.
Was it Bella Vella? Was it another one the weekend just got beat?
Yeah, it should have won. I backed one of Gordon's the previous Friday, the one that Craig rode really well to. It was the Friday before Ballarat. Just can't think of the name of it now. Bold Star.
Yeah, Bold Star.
Bold
Yeah.
Star. But
Right.
I stand corrected, but I'm pretty sure 5 of his last 7 runners in Melbourne have won. Gordon?
There you go. That's a pretty good strike, right?
And it's not
Amazing strike
He's not
rate.
bringing that many over.
No,
they're
running wrong.
That was Bold Star. That other sprinter got Guitra. And he could have won. He could have won a couple more with a little bit of luck. 2,000 metre horse that won at Flemington from outside the lead. Anyway, doesn't matter.
John McNeil, mate, can I ask you about him? He's always been a bit of a quiet achiever, guys. Sort of been in that 2nd or 3rd tier of Metro. You know, we've got the elites, and then he's been a good honest jockey, but he seems to be. Is he? What are your thoughts?
I think he's a terrific horseman. I think if he realises how good a jockey he can be, he could be the best.
So I think Joe O'Neill said that after he won on Rubisaka. He loves jockey, but he said he could be elite.
I think he probably needs to have a bit more faith in himself, and he needs
get on a roll, get some confidence up.
Well, I mean, he is on a roll.
Yeah.
And he's improving rapidly. I think he's got all the tools. He just needs to be really tactically savvy. Sometimes like on Saturday, he warmed into the day unbelievably. Like he started out, it probably should have been aware that horse that he was on in the race 1 could have led, and he should have got it. Maybe the stable didn't want him to, but it should have been wound up on the way to the gates and tried to take control of that race. But he was very passive, and the horse just went around with them. And then in the 1,000 metre race with Bella Vella, he was determined to hold that spot. That probably cost Bella Vella the race. Now, that probably gave Causeway Gal her best chance, I suppose, but you could see ways where he could have ridden her slightly better and won that race. But then the rest of the day, his riding was absolutely superb. And in a little chat that I had with some of the boys and Paddy, I'd said, sometimes jockeys just puzzle me, and like gave Joy half a pot, and then the rest of the day it was just sensational. But he did.
Never again. You had something on Never Again, didn't you? It was on your sheet.
Yes, he did us a favour there.
Did him over there. Nice.
Yes. When I first did that race, that horse was very big odds. So I'd had, by the time I set my set out and everything, I was getting into its sort of price, and it was. But I'd actually backed the place early in the market. So anyway, it was a good result for me.
Oh, good.
Good on you, Jai. Well done.
Yeah,
you could be the best jockey in the state, mate. You just keep improving and improve your tactical awareness. There's no stopping him.
Yeah. And just a quick comment on Haydock, mate. I know you're a fan of Haydock's. Great to see him win the Winterbottom.
I haven't watched the replay. He's a terrific horse.
Yeah.
He ran a superb race first up and wasn't really ready. So great training effort.
Great training effort. He's a bit of our nemesis, Tony, but geez, you can train horses, can't he?
He can.
And, he led all the way there. Curry I think he had the barrier 13 straight to the front. See you later. Yeah.
Well, once he gets in front, he's a very hard horse to get. He's got some talent, so
all right.
Not surprised. Good stuff.
That's all I've got, mate. So
all right, punters.
Go and have a steak.
That'll probably do us for shows pre-Christmas, DK. We'll have a look at it again after
in
January sometime.
All right, good as go.
Cheers, punters.